I already did a video about things to bring in the Exodus. And, I didn't just make that and think that was it. I'll be honest with you, I spend hours on each of those choices. And so I thought I'd do a quick video on the things that I'm considering taking. That doesn't mean, for any stretch of the imagination, that you should be thinking about the same thing. It's just one of the things that how I've been thinking about how I want to deal with something. So let's kind of just go through the list. And I'm going to start with shoes. Now, some people have looked, I'm sure, and have thought, well, where we're going, which is Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Israel, desert areas. And I'm sure a lot of them have thought about boots. And honestly, I have thought along the same lines, but I don't think they're the best choice. But I have looked at what things are best in the heat, because again, we've got tremendous heat. So the lighter weight it is, the faster you are, and the more cool, you should be looking at something that's cooling. I'll tell you, I've also looked at sandals. The problem with sandals, and I live on the beach, and I can go out and sand gets inside my sandals, and I'm always stopping to try to get the sand outside. That's why I also don't want to just do a regular tennis shoe, because sand will then get inside the shoe, and I've got to stop and try to get the sand out of there. But what I've decided on is actually a trail runner, which if you look, you would say, well, it's just a tennis shoe. And it is. It's lightweight. But I can actually get a gaiter, and I've looked at the Xarxis gaiters, but there's all kinds of gaiters, and the gaiters will bring it up just like a boot without really adding any weight at all, maybe another ounce, if even that. And it keeps the sand from getting inside the shoe. So a way of getting the benefits of the boot, I don't need the ankle support, and if you need ankle support, then you're going to need something a little bit thicker. I've grown up in the mountains, hiking the mountains, and they don't bother me. My ankles are fine without those issues. Now, I can tell you what type of shoe I'm looking at. I like a Salomon Speedcross 5. But that doesn't mean that that's what you should look at, because, again, it all depends on the fit. What is comfortable for you. And that may not fit your foot. And so you could try another type on, and if it fits your foot better, then always choose what fits your foot better. It comes to the poop shovel. A horrible way of saying it, but it's just the reality. That's what we're required to have. I like the Deuce of Spades. It's 1 ounce. It's so 1 ounce weight. I'm adding nothing to my pack. I can keep it with me. And again, any hiker knows that you bury things at least 4 to 6 inches under the ground. We're looking at sand. Jordan is a tremendous amount of sand. It's not like something's going to be resistance as you're shoveling, so you don't need this big, giant shovel. You can get by with a real small, lightweight thing, and boom, you're done. The grain mill. Now, the grain mill is where I actually will have spent the most money. But then again, if I don't, I'm not going to be eating that well. So it's a real important factor to spend that for the grain mill. And I like the Como medium. And you could say, whoa, 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 that's electric. And you're exactly right. It is electric. If you do it by hand, the women are going to be just grinding forever. So I'm going to bring a generator. I figure I can get enough gas to run it. And because of that, I can actually feed many families with that. In fact, I'll have more than one. Just how I'm doing it, not to say that you need to do the same thing. It's just what I'm looking at. I can grind enough manna in 4.5 minutes per person to take care of the entire daily needs of a person. So that's why I'm looking at something like that. I can just help a lot of people out very quickly. Backpack. I'm actually looking not as a true backpack, but just a CamelBak, where it's just the water. And one that's small with just a small pouch back there. And by small, I mean something normally what you would think of putting your cell phone and your wallet in there. I'm not bringing a cell phone, and I'm not bringing a wallet, so there's no need for either of those there. I'll probably have a new name when I get there, so I don't need any of my ID here. So obviously I'm not looking at much weight. I'm trying to keep everything lightweight. Type of firearm I'm looking at. I have looked at firearms for months. And I've kind of decided on a 22 pistol. It's the smallest pistol out there. It basically says, you know, the creator is the one that's taking care of the real battle. I'm just finishing it up. I'm not taking any other type of firearm. So those people who think I'm going to use this big sniper rifle, they can use it. I'm using the pistol. That way, if you have multiple weapons, you have to carry multiple weapons. I'll have a knife. I'll have some forks. But you know, just doing a very small pistol so I can have much more ammunition and it doesn't weigh me down. To give you an idea, I'm taking about 16,000 rounds with me. What type of gun holster for that? Well, I'm actually going to do one that's a backpack attachment. It just clicks right here as the backpack comes down. It comes on that little shoulder strap, and so I've got one. It'll be on my chest. So my body carries the weight and not my belt or something like that where it would get annoying at a point in time. It's also a little bit safer up here from getting bounced into something. You know, I'm not going to be bouncing my chest into a door or something like that. So I just think it's a little safer there. When it comes to the tent, I'm only going to bring 2 small tents, and I'm not even planning on staying on those. I'm actually going to build my own tent out of tarps. And the reason for that is because I can do a much larger tent with a tarp. And I can get some plumbing pipes and some plumbing fixtures, just some T's and some elbows, and I can even tell you how many. I mean, I've got it for a 20 by 30 tarp. I've got it as 4 at 22 degrees, 4 at 45 degrees, 4 at 90, and 62 T's. And then, let's see, 28 segments at 5 feet and 30 at 3 feet. And because of that, I'll have multiple segments throughout that roofing structure, and so it'll be stronger than anybody's normal tent. And then, of course, a couple straps and ties downs to keep it there. Now, again, I said a tarp, but that's one big tarp and a small tarp for each side, should I decide I'm going to put the sides on. And again, if it's a nicer day, I'm sure I'm just going to let the air flow through there. You know, and so a 20 by 30 tarp is realistically like an 8 foot by, you can do it for just about 28 feet. I've actually planned this one at 18 feet, and I did that so I could actually bring the tarp underneath and have a floor. But I could flip this thing very easily and have a few more poles and T's, and I could actually get 28 feet out of it very easily. And if you want to know on that, just give me a call and I'll explain how I'm doing that. But that's how I'm doing it, because the tarp breaks down so much smaller in size. I can get a better quality tarp. It'll last. It'll take care of what I need. One of the real factors that's kind of moved me towards that is a statement. I was looking into camping in Egypt and asking around there, and they said people around here, for the most part, don't even use tents because it gets cool at night. They just put a bed down. So we know we have that covering. Now the only question is Isaiah 4:6, is it indicating that the covering over us protects us from the rain? If it does, for the most part, we could be out just enjoying, you know, that flame at night, and just, you know, why even be under the tent if you can put your bed down? And I haven't said the bed, but I'm doing an air mattress. Just look up at the flame and look at that protection from the Creator every night. I would almost rather see that protection from the Creator than anything else. So if He's protecting us from rain, I probably won't even be in a tent. Speaking of that, I'm not just doing the air mattress. I'm actually putting, there's a little, like a wool, like lambskin that you can put on as a covering for that. So it would be just incredibly comfortable. And I'll put that as a link on the description here. But again, choose your own. I'm not saying you need to do that. And obviously, looking at some blankets to go with that. And I'm sure I'll have some heavier blankets for colder times. A plastic 1/2 gallon measuring cup. Nothing special on that. That's just so I can measure out the homer. Homer, it's a homer. I wanted to put an H where there's no H. I guess thinking The Simpsons. A mixing bowl, so mixing up the bread. A cast iron skillet. And that realistically brings me down to just the clothing. Clothing, because we're going to be in that clothing for quite some time, specifically I would think 3.5 years, I'm looking for something that is going to wick away moisture more than anything else. So instead of the cotton underwear, I'm probably looking at performance underwear, which, you know, it's synthetic material, but because it's synthetic, it will stay incredibly, you know, much drier than anything else. And obviously a few pair of that. Multiple socks, cotton, and wool shorts. Even though it may get winter and it may get cold and snowy, I'm not taking pants. And the reason for that is because I expect to, and hope to be more on the military side where I'm going to be running and moving. I don't want pants getting caught on anything. So shorts for me. Shirts. I'm looking at white button-down short sleeve shirts. And why white? Because if we're out there, it's going to be hot. Excuse me. And if it's hot, I'd rather have white. And I've found that button-down shirts actually stay cooler than a t-shirt, like a V-neck or something. A button-down, even like much cooler than a polo. When you have a button-down, it allows more airflow to come in and get out and escape and keeps you cooler. That's one of the things from beach living, you learn the cooler shirts. T-shirts, I'm going to have a couple of them long sleeve. If I'm going to put a shirt underneath that shirt, then I'd rather it be a t-shirt and long sleeve, and I'll be happy. Sweatshirt for when it gets colder, and a coat. I'm pretty much golden on that for the actual clothing. Now, in addition to that, sunglasses, because if we're in the sun and we go inside of a house, we need to be able to spot people, so have some sunglasses with the strap on there so they don't fall off. I can just knock them off my face and I can see inside, because it's going to be shade inside where it's going to be sun outside. So protect your eyes from that glare on the sun or off the sand, so sunglasses will do that. And then again, knock them off when you go inside the house so you can see better. Multiple hats. One hat obviously for the summer, one hat for the winter. Mine are going to be different than most because my hats are Teflon. And so I have writing inside of mine. And then the only other thing with that is some material for seat seats. And again, seat seats get dirty, they wear out. And now I've had mine now, these, for probably at least 6 months or more, and I could get another year out of these easy. So I love paracord, so I'll probably have some extra paracord so it makes more seat seats, just in case something goes on. A Bible or the equivalent, whether I've got an electronic form or whatever, but something so that I can actually, again, we need to be reading the Bible daily. The fact that we're on the Exodus doesn't change our requirements. My eyesight's not that good for reading, and so if I've got electronic, I can actually read it better. If that doesn't happen, the only choice that I really have, unless I take reading glasses and take the Bible with me, is to just stop people and say, you read it for me, because my eyesight, I just can't read that fine print. They just shove too much on the page. And like I said, that's really all I'm taking. It's a real quick list. And one of the things there, for instance, like on the pistol, I had looked and I found the one that I thought, this is the one I really want, and I went to try it out, and the grip was too thin for me, and I have a bigger hand, so I liked something that was a fatter grip. So I chose a different pistol because of the fact I wanted a fatter grip. It's the same thing with tennis shoes. Especially if you're going to be in those things for 3.5 years, choose the ones that are most comfortable for you. For me, that's memory foam. I like the memory foam feel. But each person is different. So look to the things that you think, this is what I'm going to be comfortable with, because you're going to be dealing with it for quite some time, because clothes don't wear out. Your sandals don't wear out. anybody who knows trail runners know that they wear out very quickly. So it's a good thing that the creator is basically, he's taking care of the fact that they won't wear out. Otherwise, those things would just shred in a heartbeat. So, but he's taking care of that, so we don't have to worry about it. Great. So you can get something that doesn't have that longevity, because, you know, again, we look for lightweight. And the military has done studies that say each ounce of weight on your feet is like 5 pounds on your back. In other words, it's, if you're going to save weight, save it on your shoes more than anywhere else of what you're doing. More than your clothing, more than what you put in your pack, save it on your shoes. So that's what I'm looking at taking. Again, it's not a big list. And again, you know, the only thing I haven't put in there that I've really considered quite heavily is one of these little foldable chairs. and if I've been looking at them, and I'm probably, if I'm going to do it, I'm probably going to do the zero gravity, so I can actually have more of a recliner and just really relax. That is my luxury item. But again, to each his own, and again, you know, space is limited in the car of what we're able to take, depending upon what vehicle we are able to use to get over there, whether it's a boat or by plane. You know, if it's in a plane, we're just not going to have that much storage space. So instead of doing these big, heavy tents, you know, doing it with a tarp, which really breaks down much smaller and doesn't have the same problems, is probably a smarter way of doing it. That's my thought, at least. And I'll leave it at that.